Hi, and welcome to the Weird World Podcast. My name's Carrie.
What's up, Carrie?
I think I'm Jack.
I'm Dean.
I'm Aaron.
You got your crew.
I do.
You got Aaron back, replacing Emma, who had replaced
Aaron.
So it's kind of musical chairs over here on my right.
Yep. So, Dean, this is going to be part 3 of the Great Lost Colony of Roanoke saga.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do much of a recap. I'll just remind
Thank
the
God.
listeners, Roanoke people got lost. Couldn't find them.
So sad.
Yeah. Part 1, we talked about the whole founding of Roanoke. Part 2, we talked about some of the evidence and how they were indeed lost. Today, we're going to talk about theories. There's really kind of, I guess, 3 groupings of theories. And we'll start with the main one, which is probably the most logical, probably even the most likely, but we'll end up with having you guys tell us what you think. You, the people here.
Yeah.
You guys, too, at home as well.
Yeah, sound off.
But the first is assimilation. In some form or another, did the colonists simply assimilate with the native population that was all around them?
Yeah.
I mean, you said last time that there was some evidence for at least some of that.
There is. There are some artifacts. There's some genetic evidence, but not a lot of that. So I'm really going to take this from a logical standpoint for the most part. If the colonists were still on the island in 1588, as we recall, when Captain Gonzalez and the Spanish ships kind of did a little sail by, that probably would have induced them to get the hell out of there before the next Spanish ship, as far as they knew, came by and killed them all. Or it could have been other motivations, but that's a pretty logical one. And we know that did happen, that we know that the Spanish did sail by, and they would have probably been seen by the colonists if they were still on the island. If they were already gone when the Spanish came by,
Right.
though, we need to find kind of another motivation. And that motivation seems pretty clear. Turns out from later research that the timing, I think we did talk about this briefly, the timing of the colony could not have been worse because, not just for the Spanish Armada, right, being, and so John White can come back for 2.5 years, but it was drought. They've looked at tree rings from the time, and that may have been the worst drought in the 800-year period. That started about 1200 CE and lasted into the 1800s. That 1587 was the worst.
Wow.
So just crazy bad timing for Roanoke, too.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. What that means is that the natives, even those friendly Croatoans, would have very likely been very loath to trade them food or feed them because they were in bad shape themselves.
Bitch, I can barely feed my own little kids, except for I don't need your white ass.
You get all the crumbs in your beard anyway. They're like modern. I think most colonists would fit in a microbrew in Portland.
Yeah.
I feel like. So even if they didn't leave from fear of the Spanish, they may have left from starvation or the prospect of starvation.
Yeah.
But if they didn't assimilate, how well would they have fared on their own?
Eek.
That's a great question.
I
Probably
don't not very well.
Soups well.
Yeah.
But remember, we also have that. One of the biggest mysteries of this is that whole Croatoans are crow left on the tree and the post.
They did go somewhere.
Well, that clearly implies they intended to go to Croatoan Island and settle with the natives there. That could have, though, been kind of a skeleton crew. So we'll talk about in a minute where the main body of the colony goes somewhere. We'll talk about where that may have been in a minute.
But
maybe they leave behind. They did that in the first time. Remember, they left behind the 15 people and they were promptly killed. They didn't know that, though. Well, they were driven off the island.
I forgot about that.
In a longboat.
That's
so.
right.
See ya.
Sorry, guys.
Into the stormy Atlantic. Wasn't going to work well for them. So in this case, though, they
We could set it for a movie. You could just make up whatever you want.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hollywood, get on it. Free idea. You're welcome.
They did that.
Yeah, they kind of did.
David Fincher directs a survival movie.
Roanoke, the lost at sea. The skeleton crew, if it was left behind, maybe it was those group who said, okay, we're not going to cut this. We're starving too. Or maybe it was that small group that saw the Spanish sail by and said, we're going to go to Croatoan Island, us, whatever, 8, 10, and we'll hopefully see John White when he comes back anytime now from Croatoan. He'll hopefully sail by or even anchor off Croatoan Island because it was a little bit deeper water off of there.
Mm-hmm.
So that would explain. So the main body left somewhere. The majority of colonists, 100 plus of the 115, they may have left 8 or 10, and this is those 8 or 10 or 15 that left the Croatoan message, the supposed message.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the idea.
We
Anyway,
had written English, right?
pardon?
Was it like a symbol that they left?
It was written.
was
It was
words.
carved into a tree, and another message was carved into a post. What do you think it's like as American Sign Language?
You said something about a crow on something.
Well, one
Oh,
just
no.
said crow, CRO,
They didn't
and one
finish the
message
word,
said
yeah.
Croatoan. It's like, can you just write the rest of the words? Like, no, we gotta go. That's my theory, anyway. It's like,
Maybe they
I'm-
started that one first and there wasn't enough room to finish it, so then they carved it into the post.
Or it looked
Maybe-
ugly.
It was
Sure,
supposed to say gone to Croatoan, but they had it finished with G, and they were like, "Oh no, that doesn't make sense."
No, it
said
doesn't at
crow.
all.
Gone to Croatoan.
I kind of like this idea of the skeleton crew because we've always assumed the colony went en masse wherever they went. But, it was who was going to take 115 people?
Not
No.
me.
Yeah.
So at one time. So maybe they left they left a good chunk behind on Roanoke.
Yeah.
Or maybe
30,
like,
40, 50.
Yeah.
And those folks went to Croatoan. The other folks went wherever. Well, again, we'll talk about that in just
they
a second.
split up.
Yeah. There's a researcher and historian named David Beers Quinn.
Ha,
Great name.
that is actually a pretty good name.
Everybody has good names
Yeah.
in these things,
Should make a
Well-
movie.
generally speaking.
Yeah. Not
Hugh
everybody.
Jackman is David Bears Quinn.
Well, he's a historian, so I don't know if that's going to be
Hey, you
No,
never
you
know.
got a sex Jude Law.
Jude Law. Jude Law would work better, yeah.
Yeah.
He thought this is more or less what happened. He thought that the bulk of the colony fled northward toward the Chesapeake Bay, which, again, as we recall, was their original destination. And he thought, okay, maybe he kind of allows for the idea that it could have been a small crew left behind, and he doesn't say it, but it's this small crew that I would think had left the Croatoan message. Because again, if they're going to the Chesapeake, they're not going to leave Croatoan; they're going to leave Chesapeake, or nothing at all. They expect that message to be conveyed by the group they left behind.
Right.
So without this skeleton crew left behind, I don't see how you get the words Croatoan on the tree and that post unless the entire colony went there from the start. And that just, given the drought, I think that seems pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
So in this argument, the skeleton crew left that message. They went to Croatoan, and then they, continued to look for White. If they were there still on Croatoan Island in 1590 when White did sail by, they didn't go out and row. So that implies they were gone by then.
Or dead.
Or dead. Yeah, it does. But there is, remember, the presence of artifacts on Croatoan that could have been from that group. The problem is it could have been from that group after they were wiped out and they took their stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not, having those artifacts doesn't indicate English people lived on those islands. It just indicates those artifacts got their way to those islands. They could have been pried out of their cold, dead hands.
Yeah. or
Traded
found.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Traded, found, looted, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely true. We do know that the colony obviously was gone by 1590. It didn't stay on Roanoke that entire time. And maybe the maybe the remnant skeleton crew, whatever you want to call them, was waiting there for White, couldn't wait any longer, couldn't make it to 1590, and they chased after the main colony, wherever they were going.
Or maybe
Possibly.
they just perished.
Or maybe they perished, maybe they, if they,
Although,
we're going up to Chesapeake. Would they find them?
not
And
necessarily.
they see that group, that main colony would have probably taken the main boat, which I can't say the name of anymore because you people are very mature.
The dick boat.
It's a pinnace. Yeah. there you go.
you betcha. Sure is a penis.
So I don't know. The skeleton crew melted, died off, merged with something after they went to Croatoan because they left that message. That message is key. Somebody was going to Croatoan at some point. That's all I know.
Yeah, or intended to.
Yeah. But according to Quinn, David Beers Quinn, he says they went to at least the main colony went to the Chesapeake. When they're there, they were hoping to eventually have someone from England come get them. Again, hopefully White, sooner the better. That didn't happen. And so those people, maybe there's 100 of them, 80, 90, whatever, they assimilated with whatever tribe they were living with. Like Jack said, though, if they were on their own completely, they didn't have the skills to do that.
Yeah.
And in a drought, the worst drought in 800 years.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
not like white people,
No
you
chance.
know, loved the natives. And were,
The natives
Yeah.
did not love them either.
yeah. It was
For
mutual.
good reason.
Yeah, they were justifiably hating the whites.
Quinn, the researcher, he does take the accounts of William Strachey and Samuel Purchas. Those are people who wrote pseudo contemporaneously about the Roanoke Island. He takes them at their word. I don't know if you recall, we talked about it a little bit in part 2, but they foster the argument that the Roanoke settlement sort of picked the wrong team and was slaughtered in inter-tribal war. So the tribe that they settled
Factionalism.
with was destroyed by the Powhatan or some other stronger tribe, and they were slaughtered along with them. So we'll cover that in a minute in more detail. Quinn's story, though, his argument is it's pure historical speculation. Anybody's is. There's just much less proof out there than the enthusiasts like to say there is or pretend there is.
I mean, there's literally and all of it's just kind of like, yeah, we saw this. Take my word for it.
And
like, we heard this.
And like I
Take
said, the
their word for
artifacts
it.
and the suggestion that, they had gray eyes and things like that.
Right.
I mean, you have to, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, maybe it was some, because remember, it's people writing whatever, the 1700s or the 1800s or something like that for the most part. And, I didn't see a lot of it, but I don't think there's a lot of DNA evidence whatsoever that there is sort of English genes in any local native tribe currently. The problem, of course, is one, Andrew Jackson and others wiped most of those people out. They were in the southeast where a lot of those folks were simply wiped out.
And even if they were around today, I think it'd be too long to be able to definitively say, this traces it back to the Roanoke people. They're like 100 people.
You are 90% from North America and 10% from England and Northern Europe, says Ancestry.com.
23andMe.
23andMe, yeah.
You are an ancestor of Roanoke Island colonists.
But for that argument, though, if they were going to go to Chesapeake, why didn't they just write Chesapeake on the tree instead of Croatoan? Again, absent a skeleton crew, that why not?
Yeah, that is my biggest question.
John White thought they were going 50 miles into the Maine, meaning up the Albemarle Sound.
Right.
Please, someone from North Carolina, tell me how to pronounce that, because I don't know how to pronounce
Close
that.
enough.
Same thing. If they would have written something like that, 50 miles into the Maine, whatever, where were they going? You think if it was not Croatoan, they would have written a message to that effect. Again, unless they relied on the folks they were leaving behind to convey that message.
Or unless the message Croatoan doesn't mean that's where they were going.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's the only other interpretation.
I don't know what else
can
it could
think
mean.
of. They attacked us. That's who attacked us.
Yeah, it was Croatoan.
That slaughtered us.
That's the only other thing that's literally the only other
Like when they say
interpretation
their
I can
name,
think of.
you write your killer's name in blood.
Yeah.
There's a
It's
girl who did
Danganronpa.
that, and that's how they
That
solved her murder.
is why the second guy only got out Crow.
Mm-hmm.
He got an arrow in the back.
Yep.
A
Or maybe he was
tomahawk on
doing
the
it.
noggin.
They saw him over there doing it, and they're like, he's writing those white devil letters. Get him.
I love all those things. Almost certainly not the truth.
I
Almost
don't
certainly
think that's
it
true
meant
either.
we're
If
going
you
to Croatoan.
believe, you can achieve.
That's I hadn't thought about that.
I wouldn't be surprised
more
if
you
people
know.
at the time thought that, though. As to
Yeah.
fuel their anti-native fire.
But weren't the
Maybe.
Croatoans were the ones they had
They were
gotten
friendly.
They
along
had
with?
good
Yeah.
relations with relative.
Maybe they
yeah.
fucked it up.
Well, they did a little
I'm
bit.
trying
but
to blame
they
the
did.
relative to the other tribes, they were okay with
The
them.
first cup that went missing, they blamed it on the
Yes.
Croatoans.
No, it was I don't think it was the Croatoans. I think
Wasn't
it was
that
somebody
a-
else.
Someone
Some
did
other-
I know. I'm
flush.
saying
the silver cup.
It happened again.
Yes, that's true.
Wednesday.
That's true.
Yeah.
They have a zero tolerance.
They
policy.
took a beer stein went missing. It's like, I need my ale.
A piece of hay.
The other problem with that theory of Chesapeake is that the route to the Chesapeake Bay was pretty dangerous. The waters were a lot shallow along the way, even for the pinnace. And the pinnace could not have carried them all. So they would have had to make other boats, or some people would have had to walk or something like that. It's a tough go to get to the Chesapeake because it would have had to be a water, method.
Water sport.
Because
To
there's
get
no
there.
trail.
Yeah.
See, this seems all really difficult. It's almost like we should have stayed in England.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't get rich on all that sweet, sweet gold and silver that wasn't there.
They didn't find a
Smallpox
single
blanket.
cent.
None of
It
it.
took a while for
whatsoever.
them to find it.
But they
on
did
the
find tobacco.
opposite side.
Brought that back.
Oh,
Thanks.
great.
Such great.
Do you
things.
know the breakdown? How many other women there were besides John White's daughter?
I don't know the breakdown, but there's quite a few. It wasn't, 120 10 men and 5 women. It
wasn't a total sausage fest.
It was not. It was mostly, but not completely.
Huh.
There was, like I said, there's lots of young families there.
Yeah, didn't they intend for them to start a whole colony? So they would have said,
I'm sure there's
"We need
more
to
men
have
than
both."
women.
But I mean,
Yeah.
were they tough women? Because
not really, no.
or
Remember,
were they
mostly,
basically dead weight? Is my question. If
wow.
Wow.
Jesus Christ, Gary.
Just set your
Hey.
own gender back.
Come
Damn.
on. Wouldn't you have to be a
Damn.
tough woman to be living back then as a woman?
it depends on what walk of life you were from.
They
That's
were
true.
mostly middle class, artisan class, so these were not hardy.
You know,
pioneer
life was
women
hell
in
for
that
every
sense, no.
woman.
Yeah, that's true.
Still is, but
You know what they did for menstrual cycles back then? It was just whatever you had handy around the house.
Or nothing. Who gives a shit?
You know the first
Well,
just
I'm
free
sure-
bleed,
Okay,
boy.
Carrie.
They gave a shit.
The first calendar was somebody tracking their period.
Really?
Yeah, because it was what was it? 28 days.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
Like
were
the lunar
marking every
cycle.
28
I know
days.
little. Periods are a mystery to me. I don't
Yeah.
understand them.
No,
Because
but
of course
surprising.
they were like, "This is man's first calendar," and it's like, actually,
It turns out.
unless this man had a vagina, which is totally possible.
You see here, these other calendars, the women were cycling together because they lived together.
Exactly,
Although-
they're all in sync, bitch.
I take
So
that
that's
all
an
back
urban legend.
because
Okay,
I'll
I hope
bet you some artisan class women or, women who were not,
Glass blowers, for instance.
used
I don't know.
to working
Soap
hard,
makers.
probably figured out how to get it done when
Sure.
they needed to.
They
Oh,
could.
yeah, they
they
had
knew
to.
their way around a loom. I'm positive.
They probably wound up being tougher than they.
Probably. They beef
Thought they
jerky
were.
and hardtack. Loved it. And drank room.
All I'm saying is I think I could do it.
I think you could too.
I love it.
No.
That totally.
No.
Yeah. That's where I thought you were going.
You would be like,
with that. Okay.
I could build a
Everybody
log
in-
cabin out of
Mom.
everybody sitting
you
at this
think you could build a
table.
log cabin?
I know I could not.
You're talking shit about a log
I
cabin.
cannot
now.
measure
Okay.
anything,
I think
None of us could build a log
I
cabin.
was
at
just
this
gonna say
table.
that.
but I can.
We
offer
could
a
figure.
Including
proposal.
you.
We could. What are you talking
You
about?
cannot build a log cabin. I couldn't build a
You
log
could
cabin.
refurbish the shit out of a log cabin.
You could distress it.
You could flip
Absolutely.
one.
Absolutely.
You could
put
figure it
you
out.
could put it on
Definitely flip
Etsy.
a house.
We could
We-
just figure it out. You can't just
Just
fumble your
figure
way
out.
into building a log
Yes, you
cabin.
can. I know how
From the
you
ground up.
cut the slots and the ends of the
Okay.
log.
It's
and
not
then
Lincoln
you
Log.
fit
You're
them
thinking of Lincoln.
together.
You're
Did
thinking
you
Exactly
also
Lincoln
watch
Logs.
that YouTube channel? That's like a dude who just
Yes.
lives in the Swedish forest and builds his own log cabin. Because I want to do that
Yeah.
too.
Aaron and I could do it.
I want to go live out in the forest and build.
Yeah.
I watch those primitive videos and I'm like, oh, what a life. I don't want to pay taxes. I just want to live in the woods.
Okay, you two could forage for some wood tea, and Aaron and I would.
Bitch,
no,
what?
I'm setting
Build a
traps
cabin.
and I'm eating rabbit.
That's not a thing.
I'm not gonna. I'm
Tea
not
from the
big on
woods.
You want to like an
skinny
apartment.
and gutting animals. I don't know if I'm really.
we way off
person you're
track
looking
right
for
now.
now. Go get a fish.
We got to get back on.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about the lost colony of Roanoke.
Yes, we were. But just one more thing though. Carrie is grossed out by a whole chicken on her plate, cooked and ready to eat. Let alone actually
Hey,
killing a chicken and
Did
gutting
I
it
say I
and feathering
would
it
kill
and that kind
chickens and feed? I'll build a log cabin. you
She's
can
going
do the chicken.
plant-based, bitch.
I know. I don't want to do the
So
chicken.
how do you
either.
get your B12s?
I don't know.
You don't.
You don't.
So
Fish. We could do fish.
fish. We do fish. Okay. All right.
Is
I can
it
get
in
fish.
fish?
I can get fish. I don't want to dismiss. Getting back on track now.
Please.
I don't want to dismiss that the entire colony for sure didn't go to Croatoan. That message could have meant we're all going there, and they could have said, "You know what? I know you're hungry. We're hungry too. I know it's a drought, but we promised our guy's going to be here in a few months. Can we just hang out here with you for a short time?" And then, of course, they wore out their welcome because there wasn't enough food to eat, and they had to leave. And they may have just migrated with the Croatoans. A lot of the Croatoans lived on the mainland, and they could have just, the Croatoans themselves migrated, and they went with them and moved further inland. And so they actually stayed pretty close to home, but not close enough to be found by, as we recall from the last time, the people who came by were few and far between, and they gave very little effort, it turns out, to actually find them. Members like, oh, the weather's bad, can't land, we're moving on to pirate
For
Spanish
real.
ships.
One of our anchors broke. Going home.
And out ski. Or maybe, just maybe, again, they went 50 miles inland. There was, it turns out, 50 miles into the Main would have taken them to the confluence of the Chowan and Roanoke rivers, which is at the western end, the deep end of that jut that is the Albemarle Sound.
Albemarle.
This area was controlled by another friendly tribe called the Chewanak. So it's possible they settled with those guys. Not the Croatoan, but the Chewanak, 50 miles inland to the Main, like John White said he thought they did.
Right.
He just never got a chance to go there and find them. They could have been there waiting for years and years and years. He'll be here anytime. Next year for sure. And he never showed up.
Well, at least they were chilling.
They were chilling with the Chewanek. That's what they were doing. Be a good T-shirt. There are variations, though, on this. Like, for instance, some people think maybe they split up into groups.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe earlier.
Yeah. Could a tribe take 100 plus people? Could any tribe take 100 plus people? At that time, maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean, the English people, they weren't huge assets. Other than their weaponry, they were not, they didn't really know how to live off the land. Not yet. They would have adapted to it fairly quickly, but not right away. Some people think they moved out in waves, even almost like deserters. You know what I mean? Like little groups just left. Like, this isn't working. We're starving.
Yeah.
Let's 5 of us, 10 of us, a couple families, things like that could have just left out little waves, and eventually there's no one left on the island. And as the population on the island dwindles, the rest say, we got to go too.
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere.
We have no choice.
Yeah. And again, there is the evidence, the light eyes of some people, the European-style dwellings, the European-style clothes, the artifacts. There is evidence, but it seems like, to me, the scarceness of that evidence could suggest that they did go out in smaller groups because you didn't find a huge concentration. Remember some of those things that, there are 7 here or 4 guys there, things like that.
And maybe some of those groups just died along the way.
For sure. Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Dysentery.
Yeah. Like they come, can we stay with your tribe? Keep going. Keep walking.
Or maybe there are people who didn't want to go with natives, and so they definitely died.
Yeah. And if that's true, though, they did not stay on Roanoke because they've never found any bodies on Roanoke. Again, it could be because the shifting sands. It could be underwater or something like that. That's possible. But so far, they've never found any human remains that appear to be
Everybody died on the
colonists.
beach.
Everybody died somewhere else besides Roanoke Island.
Right.
And also, by the way, for that argument that they went somewhere nearby, like the Maine, or even on the shore across from the Croton Island, is that they would have wanted to stay somewhat close to the area because they expected white to come back, and going up to the Chesapeake is a long way away.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the I think they probably stayed fairly close by. The Roanoke, which are now called the Roanoke Hatteras tribe, they actually have an oral history to this day that says they descended in part from the Roanoke colonists, but no one knows how that oral tradition started. We just don't know.
So have any of those descendants been DNA tested?
Probably, and I don't think they've, as far as I know, no one. Like you hear, there's another tribe called the Lumbee, and they're they have a little bit lighter skin supposedly, but that tribe is really a fairly modern amalgamation of other tribes, so it's not clear. And they did change their name. They wanted to change their name in the 1880s. There's a North Carolina politician named Hamilton McMillan in the 1880s. He sort of became a champion of that. He petitioned for them to be able to change their name to the Croatoan, thinking, these are the remnants of the Croatoan tribe. But no one knows that. There's no certainty about that. And so, and actually the name Lumbee didn't come about until 1956.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we don't know. There's others. There's the Machapunga tribe that was said to have received the Croatoan Roanoke people kind of combined, merged into the Machapunga tribe. So that's where the Roanoke people could have wound up in that tribe from after merging with the Croatoans. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
Mixy mash.
It is. And there's lots of tribes in the area have we're from, we have Roanoke in our blood. No,
it could be true. They could all be true. Or like half of them could be true.
Yeah. But again, all this happened before the mass population really started getting wiped out in the 1700s and 1800s, and so it could any DNA evidence could be completely missing now. Number 2, or group 2, is escape. They escaped Roanoke. They didn't migrate. They didn't merge or assimilate. They escaped. The Croatoans were still pretty friendly, as we know, but again, with the drought, they could have felt unwelcome to go move with the Croatoans or really any tribe. So if that was the case, and of course, many of the other tribes were openly hostile. So you think about it. You have these friendly Croatoans, but they can't feed you. You have other tribes that are hostile. You have the Spanish sailing by. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
What would they do? Would they try to merge with some potentially unfriendly folks, or would they try to get the hell off the island and get back to England? Well,
on the pinnace?
Let's not forget the pinnace. The pinnace.
We never forget the pinnace. Said. Well, you do.
The ship was relatively small, but it could hold a big chunk of them, and it was totally seaworthy. It did these cross-Atlantic voyages all the time.
Yeah.
So Did the Roanokeans
Oh my gosh.
eventually just give up on White before 59, before he got there, and they say, let's take to the sea?
Well, then, if that's true, they didn't make it back to England.
For sure.
Or they maybe they made it to the what was that island that the other bitches made it to on the
Caribbean somewhere?
in the Atlantic?
Oh,
That group of
not Canaries.
the Azores.
Azores, I think. Yeah, we know about that. They gather all their supplies. They are able to muster a decent amount of supplies, and they crowd as many people on the pinnace as they possibly can. And they just pray for an easy passage back to England, that the weather will be favorable. Some people think they even could have built a second or third smaller ship to carry sort of the remainder, potentially.
I don't
Since
know
With
about
their
that.
Lincoln Logs.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
you think
they
you
know
can,
how to build ships.
Bitch, you think you can fumble your way to a log cabin, but these colonists can't figure out how to build a boat?
A seaworthy boat
Yeah.
to cross the Atlantic?
They
What do you mean? Humans have been doing that for centuries.
a seaworthy boat they hoped could cross the Atlantic.
Yeah.
That's what they
It's
say
not
that.
going to be the highest tech of things,
No,
but they're like,
no.
it'll float, bitch,
But more than
and
a
it'll
raft.
carry us.
I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure they had some people who are shipwright-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans have been building boats for a really long time.
By the way,
Mom.
listeners,
I
an
know
openly
that.
skeptical look from Carrie, who again thinks she can build a log cabin. I just
Yeah.
wanna make
Hey,
sure that's clear.
it doesn't necessarily have to be watertight. That's
It
that's the
preferably
difference.
should.
Yeah, listen to Carrie. Yeah, rain. No, rain. You're gonna get really wet in my log cabin when it rains. Trust
There
me.
are leaks, though, right? That's intended.
Mine is not watertight. Did you say it had to be watertight? Because I don't think it has
You
to be
got to give
watertight.
me a minute to weave a watertight roof.
A minute. Okay. Well, you
Part
have
of
a
the
minute.
aesthetic.
Yeah, it is. It is. Some people think maybe they went up to north, and remember, there's always English ships fishing off of like Maine and Newfoundland. So maybe we can just hug the coast. We can hug the coast. We don't have to go out in the middle of the Atlantic. We can hug the coast and find a way there and just flag down an English fishing vessel and say, will you take us home?
Yeah.
Or at least go tell somebody.
But what do we know about that, too? Presumably?
If they
Yes,
did it
we
successfully,
would.
yes.
Yeah.
If they were not successful, though,
Oh,
no.
so
But it doesn't
the
mean they couldn't have
theory
done
is-
it.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They died along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Chesapeake. Maybe they did get in these boats and try to go to Chesapeake. But again,
Eek.
yeah. More than likely, though, I think they would have probably headed straight for England.
Yeah.
Because if they just we got to get off here. We don't know when White's coming back. Let's go. They would have probably headed for England. England are up north to the fishing vessels, but that's almost
risky.
as far. So
And they could run into a Spanish vessel
very,
on the way.
very likely running
Yeah.
into Spanish. A lot of people fished there, and they could
No
have been
bueno.
ratted out by them Portuguese potentially. Or something like that.
Oh,
Not the
my
Portuguese.
goodness. Um país.
But obviously, the English voyage would have been very dangerous, but doable with at least the pinnace then. And if this did occur, obviously they didn't make it.
Right.
So in all likelihood, a storm. I mean, again, the Atlantic is a very stormy
Oh, my
sea.
God. She's rough.
They had, yeah.
There's icebergs just chilling
Um,
out there.
No, they wouldn't have gone that far. It would have been warm,
Well, they
but
could have been blown off course because
for sure.
It happened to
Yeah.
the other guys.
Yeah.
They did. And I don't know if did they have all the sea kind. I mean, I guess they did. They must have had a compass, and the pinnace would have had a compass and whatever
Yeah.
else they had and things like that.
And they could do the stars. They're like, I know about
Yep.
stars.
Yep.
It was back then when you could see stars.
Yeah. Well,
You
you
know.
could still probably see stars in the middle of the Atlantic.
Probably.
Yeah.
Except when one of those big cruise ships comes by and coughs
Yeah.
COVID-19 all over you.
Basically, fuck you, cruise.
Mm-hmm.
This.
Or like cholera. Didn't that one have an outbreak of diarrhea?
Yeah, it's
They're not cruise ships now?
norovirus.
That's happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Many
pretty
times.
much every cruise.
Yes,
I believe.
it's called
I
cruise ship diarrhea for
never
a
wanna
reason.
go on a cruise.
Yep.
Hard
Retweet.
pass.
Never. That's where you go to murder someone.
Yeah, that's when you go when
It
your
really
marriage is
is.
on the rock.
It
You
really
go
is, yeah.
to the Yellowstone
Yeah.
kill zone.
Carrie, do you want to go on a cruise and maybe we'll find a place to hike by cliffs? I'm just curious. No? Is that a no?
Literally, that's why you go to the Grand Canyon. There's that one guy who two of his wives fell off cliffs.
Oh, that's
God.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So they probably would not have gone. Most ships that went back to England usually went down to the Caribbean first, and they resupplied it, and then actually it's a better weather and better route to do that. They wouldn't have done that, though, because they'd be afraid of getting captured by the
Yeah.
Spanish, so they would have had to try to go straight across the Atlantic. If they did do this, they hit a storm because there's never been any trace of them
Right.
anywhere.
Yeah,
So-
and no matter what happened, they died.
Yeah, they did die.
Yeah.
That's
See, that's an argument for that because if they had gone up the Chesapeake, wouldn't at least the pinnace have been found?
You would think
Not
so. If
necessarily.
it was in the bay, unless it's sunk in the bay.
Yeah, the
And
ocean
hasn't been
or
found.
That's true.
reclaimed
Yeah.
by the ocean.
It's big.
So the pinnace is big? Is that what you said?
Yay!
Ah.
No, the ocean, but that dude. Yeah.
We just don't know. And here's another problem with that theory, though. If they did decide we're sailing back home, or we're sailing to the Chesapeake, or we're sailing up north to find fishing people, wouldn't they have left that message on a postcard tree, not Croatoan?
Yeah,
Well, no. I mean, if
not necessarily.
they
that
could have written
decision may
England.
have come afterwards.
After
You
they
know.
set sail?
No, Croatoan could have been their first
Oh, yeah,
step.
okay.
And
Yeah.
Then,
Yep.
And then after that, they decide, oh, this isn't going to work.
I like it. I like it.
Oh, you mean
I
like
see.
after they had already left?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
so
see. That's
they
a
intended. They said
possibility.
Croatoan because they intended to settle on Croatoan.
Right.
They got to Croatoan, and the natives
They're
there
like,
said,
"Fuck."
"You need to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here." So
MTV
they-
Cribs.
yeah, and then that's a good point. They could have done that exactly, and they didn't go back and go. Can we go back to Roanoke first and write England and scratch out Croatoan? They just didn't have time for that.
It'd
Yeah,
be
no.
not worth it.
Or
Yeah,
food
that's
or
true.
water.
Oregon, they left that skeleton crew, like the first
Huh?
one did. In other words, they said,
Oh.
"We're going to go back to England. You 10 guys stay here and wait for John White, and either he'll come and get you, or when we get back to England, we'll send a boat back to get you. Otherwise, those 10 people died, whatever,
Yeah.
or wrote
Yeah, both
Croatoan
died.
Yeah.
and went to live with the Croatoans and merged, or assimilated, or were killed."
Eh.
So, I mean, that's the second one, the escape one. It's very possible. It's a
Escape.
plausible argument, again, because of the lack of any evidence of
Yeah.
their existence beyond
Yeah.
there. Lost at sea is a pretty neat solution.
And it's like a pretty plausible decision making process. Like we can't cut it here. We go
Yeah.
and try to go back home because that's where everybody else went.
Yeah, exactly. Third grouping is, I think, a lot of folks' favorite. It's conspiracy.
Aliens.
Ooh.
We'll get to those.
The government did it.
Well, kind of. There's a conspiracy not too far from that. So
Really? That the Queen.
they get kind of complex, but one of the leading ones that's not centered on extraterrestrials, has to do with Raleigh and Sir Walter Raleigh and his, people who maybe didn't like him so much. So
Oh, I see.
Sir Walter Raleigh had the most to gain or lose
Yeah.
by the Roanoke colony,
He wanted it.
and he had some court enemies, some folks think. One of these, possibly, some people think, was a guy named Sir Francis Walsingham.
Great name.
Is another good name.
I'm gonna name
Another strong
a
name.
goat that.
Francis.
Sir
Sir
Francis. What's the last name?
Walsingham.
Walsingham.
What?
That's a spot on whatever the fuck accent you're trying to do. That's good.
Everything
Fancy.
accent.
Yeah,
Because that's one
I
fancy
see.
ass goat. It's
see.
got to be a goat with a beard.
Oh, so what it was.
God, this is
Show
an
up.
accent shit show.
What's his name?
What's happening?
I don't
What's
remember
happening?
it.
Francis Willoughby.
Walsingham.
Whoa. Oh,
You
it's
know,
got
Willoughby.
ham. It's got to
Yeah,
be a pig.
it does have ham. Oh, you're right.
Sir
You're right.
Francis Willoughby.
He
None of that was discernible.
no,
Cut it all out.
he was Queen Elizabeth's spy master. He was a bigwig in the court.
So James Bond.
More of a guy who had lots
M.
of people out there,
Mm.
and they came back and told him shit. And he
So
was
the
going,
spider in Game of Thrones.
Yes, very much so. He was. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but yes, I'm assuming yes.
He's bald and just has people tell him shit.
Yeah,
Because he's
more or
like,
less.
I'm asexual and new and can tell me nothing.
This got weird.
Because they all
Zeus with his crows.
they all
Let's
have
move
sex
on.
with each other on Game of Thrones.
Okay, he was a big royal kind of player. He was also a key foreign policy advisor, and he had actually been England's ambassador to France in the 1570s. So he was a bigwig.
Sir Francis
Sir
to
Francis.
France. I get it. It makes sense.
Yes, they kind of had to, didn't they?
Yeah.
The story is that Walsingham and some allies wanted Raleigh to fail in Roanoke. Don't know the motive. These
Yeah,
conspiracy
that
theory folks
is-
have not really supplied a motive. Okay, something about like Walsingham wanted to improve English standing relative to Spain, but you would think a successful Roanoke colony would
Right,
do
yeah.
exactly that. So
Yeah. Unless maybe this Franny guy was jealous
maybe
in some way. Because didn't you say that Mr. Raleigh and the Queen were boinking?
some people think so. Yes,
Yeah.
at,
they were-
at the very least, he was a favorite of hers.
Didn't they make that movie? They said they were. I don't know if they said they were boinking in it, but
Why were you using the word boinking, by the way? Just
Didn't
I
FYI?
don't
they?
know.
Did they do who?
They were slapping hams. So others,
walling
is that a
hams.
thing?
Sideways shuffle.
Okay. Others say that, okay, maybe the colonists were separatists like the Pilgrims who wanted to separate themselves from England. They were seeking religious freedom. They sought to go to Roanoke. That's actually a live theory. And that theory says Walsingham, he did not like the separatists. So he tried to destroy the colony. If this is true, the colonists in Roanoke kept this motivation incredibly secret because no one's ever made that argument in the history of time that there was some kind of a separatist religious, group.
I mean, because wasn't their express purpose? Well, all of the colonies' express purpose originally was to start England and the New World. So
This was about setting up a base for privateering and Spanish, but also to get rich too, find some gold, silver, whatever. Northwest Passage. But remember, conspiracists laugh at logical contradictions when they're promoting their conspiracy, so they don't mind that there's some of those in their theory here. So whatever the motive, though, they say Walsingham used his influence to delay a rescue. Remember, the whole Queen wouldn't let them go. Maybe that was Walsingham who was saying, nope, they can't go. We need the ships here. And they weren't able to go until 1590.
I feel like that's was he a military leader?
He died in 1590.
Oh, oopsie.
So maybe that's the theory says, okay, it's not until he died when suddenly John White got the permission to go back to Roanoke. So coincidence? Of course, the real answer is yes.
Yeah.
But to these folks, the answer is can't be because there's no such thing.
Ooh.
And so...
It's the iCarly.
What?
Here's the problem, though. Beyond the lack of motive that we can't figure out for Walsingham is that he was actually a financial backer of Raleigh. Not a big way, but he actually gave him some. He was one of the investors in this endeavor. So he actually sort of lose if Roanoke lost. So and one of Walsingham's supposed co-conspirators in this theory, it was named Simon Fernandez. He was a ship captain guy. It was actually Fernandez who finally did bring John White back to Roanoke in 1590. So, to this conspiracy theory. Another one, though.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
This conspiracy theory I'm about to share with you now was proposed by an engineer and, quote, amateur archaeologist.
Oh.
Those are two massive red flags, by the way. Someone whose expertise is not in the field he or she is propounding upon, and someone who's an amateur anything, never a good sign.
Not necessarily,
yes.
but
I'm only an amateur naturalist, but I can save a species.
I have some great ideas and things
You're
like
building
an amateur log cabin builder for one, and she's pretty good.
Amateur log cabinologist here. Carrie.
I'm something of a cabin builder. I don't want to brag.
You guys?
We're going to come home one
day.
day.
Feel like there's a log cabin in the backyard.
Oh, that'd be phenomenal.
You won't notice there's going to be a large chunk of money missing when she buys a plot of land.
Honestly,
and all the lumber. There's a lumber shortage, so you're going to have to get an axe.
It's all in our neighbor's backyard right now. Y'all hear him cutting wood all day yesterday.
Okay,
there's a huge pile of wood.
Sneak that out.
You got to ask for that.
We're going to cut this out, but we stealing that wood.
That's what she said. Cut this out, yeah.
Cut this out because he'll probably hear it. Well, also, while we're at it, gonna steal his bees.
Ooh.
They died already.
Oh no, not the bees.
They're gone.
That means we don't get any more free honey?
No.
I guess we got to have our own hive.
I suppose. So...
I could do it. I just need a child-sized beekeeper outfit. That's what I wore when I went beekeeping one time.
An extra small child size.
Because if it's too loose, they can get in.
Yeah, you're going to need that's going to be hard.
I warned the kids when I went beekeeping.
That's scary.
They're like, oh shit,
sorry,
we only have
big.
3 adult ones. And I was like, it's fine.
You can wear a kid's one. Yeah. So... This next conspiracy from this amateur archaeologist says that the whole point of the colony was a deeply held secret. It was not to go, find gold and silver or privateer. What? The point was not to sort of establish that base on Roanoke, but instead they were just going to pretend to stay on Roanoke and then quickly shift to the banks of a place called the Alligator River on the mainland. First of all, I want to stress this to our readers. No one should ever plan anything next to any place that's called Alligator anything.
Wow.
Scary. A river is called Alligator River. I don't want to sail up that place in a small boat if it's called Alligator River.
Girl, it doesn't matter if it's called
pass.
Alligator River or not. Every river down there has got alligators.
You know how much bigger the alligators were back then, though?
Yeah.
A lot. We killed
gonna
all the
say.
big ones. They
I'm
were
aware.
humongous.
Wait, what?
I like that one alligator, or it may have been a crocodile, but that one alligator just lived with a knife sticking out of it for a while.
Well,
That's
alligators
who I wanna
they're
be.
scary now. Alligators are, but they were much scarier back then. They're a lot bigger.
I'm
than
more
they are
scared of
now.
crockies.
Yeah, I knew like prehistoric crocodilians are fucking mad.
This is not prehistoric. This is
Right
That's
now.
when we
wild.
got there.
I
The
didn't
reason
know
they're
that
smaller now
recently.
is because you alligator hunters go after the big one,
I am
and so
aware.
they don't live long enough to get really big anymore.
Right.
But
That's why
the
the
alligators
worms eat
were
'em.
they could have been 20-foot long alligators. I mean, that'll kill you. So that was the idea. They're going to go settle on the Alligator River. The reason for this was to collect that precious commodity, Jack.
Ass. I don't know what.
You're close.
Sugar cane.
Sassafras.
Oh,
sassafras.
Remember sassafras?
Not
That's
just
right.
booty.
Sassafras.
about
Yosemite
sassafras.
Sam's favorite thing.
Oh,
Yosemite.
how could I forget sassafras?
Sassafras. You weren't here for part 2. We talked about sassafras. So
You do my homework.
this conspiracy theory from this amateur archaeologist is that they weren't really going to go up to Chesapeake Bay. That was all the dodge, and that the whole lostness thing, being lost, total smokescreen, pure fiction. It was to fool the Spanish because they want the Spanish to find them somewhere along the Alligator River, collecting all that sweet sassafras.
What they do with sassafras again?
Make Molly.
Molly, a lot of raves.
Nice.
Europe has had raves since the 14th century, Carrie. So
For
sassafras,
real.
They showed their
Drinks.
ankles.
medicinal,
Chew on it.
various
feel a
things.
little
It
That's
was
weird.
yeah,
Like root beer type drinks. You
Yeah.
know?
yeah. I have some
Sarsaparilla.
sassafras, please.
Yeah.
Probably. Let's go with that. I
Sarsaparilla.
don't know for a fact that's true, but let's assume it is.
Sarsaparilla.
So this conspiracy theory from this amateur archaeologist said they're basically out there harvesting sassafras, and that the idea was after 10 years, Raleigh was going to send a ship to go secretly again, and he did do this to go harvest and collect all that sassafras they've been collecting now for 10 years and bring it back to Europe from their base in the Alligator River. Jack, you're going to say something about sassafras?
Oh no, I was just 100% right.
Okay. Well, okay then.
It's the traditional ingredient in root beer. So yeah, I was
Oh,
100%
yeah.
I wasn't
right.
You
gonna
hate-
tell
Jack
you,
hates Reaper. What?
but
I do.
I'm right.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're not risking all of that for root beer.
Now, Carrie.
It was also medicine. It's
Yeah.
a lot of
You'd
things.
risk it all.
That's weird.
I would risk it all for Dr. Pepper, so
See?
I kind of
Yeah.
understand what
You
you're
know
saying.
Somebody
what?
would.
Yeah.
Carrie, yeah, you might do
Yeah.
that.
I think I don't subscribe to this particular amateur
Okay,
archaeology.
well,
theory.
anyway, you can go straight to
Well,
hell.
you were just hyping up the amateurs, and now
Yeah, you were amateur
Knocking
log cabin
them
builders, I
I
guess.
down.
said this particular one.
This is the
Give me
Carrie
another
versus
one.
the world podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy says that Raleigh sent a ship back in like 1610, collected sassafras, and he's going to send another one like 10 years later, I guess, in 1620. But unfortunately, remember, he died in 1618
Yeah.
at the hands of that nervous executioner.
and he forgot to tell anybody else what his plan was.
Exactly. Oh my
Forgot
God.
to.
Are you about to
Secret.
kill me? You know what? Somebody better go get those sassafras colonists because I'm not going to be able to because I'm about to be
A
dead
can I
secret.
write a quick note?
in the blood from my neck. Ouch. So that meant that it wasn't until then that the lost colony was really lost because now Raleigh was dead and no one else knew. The proof of this story, you ask? Well, there was some, quote, oral traditions about a place called Beachland along the Alligator River, and that some oral tradition has it as the Roanoke colonists settled in this place.
I want to go to there. Beach land.
Beachland. It's actually it's B-E-E, not three E's. B-E-E-C-H-L-A-N-D. So the beach, the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no, I was gonna say beach is another word for huge ass alligators.
And there was a map from 1651 that showed on it, wait for it, a sassafras tree near the Alligator River. So it had like Alligator River and had something that looked like a sassafras tree near it, which could only
Okay.
mean that they knew there was sassafras there. Like they'd put things like
Right,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, but it doesn't mean there was a freaking secret colony that came back
Yeah.
like corn and
every
Idaho.
10 years. This is dumb.
They're like,
So-
okay,
Yeah.
somebody went out there once and they found a sassafras tree. If we
Yeah.
need it again, we know where to find it.
Sassafras and an alligator.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do not want to live
The
it. Alligator River is still called Alligator River, by
It's
the
a
way.
good name.
It's a great name unless you live there. Then it's not.
What the
Or swim
fuck?
there.
What state is it in?
Justice
North
for
Carolina.
Alligator
Oh, okay,
River.
so they're fine. They're from North Carolina. They don't give a shit.
That's why they mostly don't have 10 toes. Anyway, there are I'm kidding. That's just because of
See, I'm okay
inbreeding,
because what
obviously.
he said was worse.
There's a couple problems for this theory beyond the obvious razor thinness of the supposed proof, and that is that the reason for the scheme, remember, was that Raleigh needed to recover from his debts from the first one. He didn't have debts. Remember, the 1585 voyage turned out to be very profitable because they privateered along the way home, so he didn't have any debts.
That's mostly what they did.
Yeah, so there was no real motive for him to do this crazy sassafras gambit where he has a secret colony collecting sassafras to be collected every 10 years.
That's got to be your next
Who would
screenplay.
do that, by the way? So in 10 years, we'll have a lot of sassafras waiting for you, bro.
No.
Sounds a little
wishy-washy.
Well, here's one other problem. It's a
nonsensical.
little bit of a bummer for the amateur archaeologist / engineer, and that is that the price of sassafras did not actually explode until the end of the 1590s. As you recall, Roanoke was sent in 1586 and landed in 1587.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense from just the commodity sassafras being so valuable suddenly, because that didn't happen for more than a decade later. So, nope, sorry. To the conspiracies. I'm sure there's others. But the last grouping, the fourth grouping of potential outcomes is some people's favorite, and that is slaughter.
Slaughter?
Whose favorite would that be?
There's some people who probably
A
find
favorite
that.
as in...
They think it's
No, I
like
kind
it's
of
the
meant it
most
the way
likely.
and it brings in the most joy.
Yeah, it sparks joy in them.
No, I did kind of
That's
mean
how I
it
thought.
that way,
Okay.
actually.
Wait, you did?
I kind of did, yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure there's some people, the whole, got what's coming to you, disease-ridden murderers.
Oh, well,
that
yeah,
kind of
I
thing,
agree with
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, then.
I don't love the whole idea of
But you-
Don't think that-
colonization, but
Yeah, the
They
children
deserve it,
didn't
but,
choose
like,
that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Little
Well, how many
Virginia
kids are
Dare
there?
was just a
Virginia Dare,
baby.
yeah.
She was a toddler maybe by the time it happened. So
Yeah, but she was going to grow up to be evil anyway.
you know what? They
I'm
probably.
just kidding.
Let's just assume they raised the kids to be natives. Yeah, the little ones.
Yeah, they're like,
There you
we
go.
can
And they
teach them
slaughter the
ways.
adults, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's not really fun. I'm kidding. There are there are those, and the two main
Kind of
culprits
is.
in this would be either the Spanish or the Native Americans. So let's first look at the Spanish. It's true that Spain was well aware of what Raleigh was doing, right? They did search for the colony. They knew there was something going on there, and they did want to put a stop to it. But they didn't know where it was. It was basically, it's the East Coast somewhere north of Florida. Even if they assumed that it was probably somewhere along the North Carolina coast or up the Chesapeake Bay, that's a big area.
That could be anywhere.
Yeah. They can do little more. The Spanish ships could do little more than sort of skirt and scout the coastline. That's the best they could do. If they found Roanoke, or the later colony that succeeded it, if they moved, would have been just more luck than skill. And also, if Spain had captured Roanoke colony, it's likely this would have been common knowledge. People would know about that. Why would they keep that a secret? They'd have boasted about slaughtering these people as a warning to other English people who wanted to colonize the North American coast. This is what happens to you. So if they had slaughtered the colonists, it would not be a lost colony. It'd be a story of the massacre of these English colonists, because we all know about it. So I don't think the Spanish did it.
Them Spanish were brutal. They liked to torture back then.
They did do some torture. You've heard of the Spanish Inquisition. They used feathers and pillows.
Enslaved.
My point
Yeah, they would
exactly.
have. They would have killed them. They would have enslaved them. They would have whatever. They would have used them as a bargaining chip, maybe.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have just like, hey, kill them all, throw the bodies off into the ocean so no one ever finds them. It just doesn't make any sense. Also, by the way, Spanish records examined later show that they were still looking for Roanoke as late as 1600.
Oh.
So they did not know where it was either 13 years after it was founded. So it was just as lost to them as it was to the English.
That's interesting.
Then, of course, there's the possibility that the colonists or the remnant were slaughtered by natives. This is much more likely. If you're going to go in for the slaughter, this is far, far more likely.
Yeah.
You're probably asking yourself, though, why would Native Americans be angry or feel hostile towards these smelly white people who are doing nothing but minding their own business and claiming every speck of land they saw for God and country and queen?
Spreading disease
That
everywhere
too.
they went.
And occasionally killing them for stealing a silver cup that they didn't steal.
For real.
So if you get past the idea that the natives had no motive to slaughter these English colonists, it's still possible. So where do they do it? Did they go and slaughter them on Roanoke? Did they kind of, get together? Remember that on Roanoke, they had a fort, they had better weapons, And also, of course, there's been no bodies found there. If John White came, remember, in 1590, he would have seen clear traces of slaughter if it had happened on Roanoke.
Yeah.
So there's no bodies or bones there. So it's certainty, really, that they were not slaughtered on Roanoke. But, after they dispersed, wherever they went to, Croatoan, the mainland, Chesapeake, whatever, did they get caught up in some kind of intertribal war? Remember, that's what, I can't remember his name, Purchase and Strachey, that's what they kind of said, right? They said, I remember we talked about John Smith last time as well, how he had heard that they were killed by the Powhatan, maybe it's a town called Panawick, or other names that I couldn't pronounce very well, and that they, again, as we mentioned a minute ago, they merged with some tribe that lost the war, and they were slaughtered for that reason, right?
Yeah, that's possible.
It's very possible. But it's not like John Smith is a credible source.
Yeah.
And there's never been any, as far as I know, there's never been any, European bones found that in something that looks like a slaughter or a mass war. It's not to say they would for sure be found, but at least that evidence hasn't turned up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about disease, though? Couldn't the colony have been decimated by disease?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
They also could have starved.
Both.
More likely, probably.
And it ends
What
up in
kind
like
of
a Donner Party scenario, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Maybe.
honestly, it probably is a combination of factors, but like the disease and starvation do seem very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And again, if it did happen, it didn't happen on Roanoke. Because there'd absolutely be traces of internecine. How do you pronounce it? Internecine warfare and cannibalism.
Yeah.
There'd have been bones that were gnawed on by European teeth.
Well, and if they'd stayed there, their structures would have been there.
That's true. They wouldn't
Janky
have
European teeth.
Yeah, you're right, because they took the houses away wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they went somewhere, but still, they went somewhere and died from disease or starvation.
Right.
Or they were slaughtered by the natives, or possibly even slaughtered, again, probably not slaughtered by the Spanish. I still think wherever the Spanish slaughtered them, they would have talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you can get weirder. Some people believe that the natives called up their magic and turned the colonists into trees.
Sure.
Yeah. So the word Croatoan,
Dumb shit.
the word Croatoan on the tree, it was more like, it wasn't here's where we're going. It was more like a mark of ownership or like a name badge, maybe something like that. Like, hey, I'm Croatoan. I'm a tree. I don't know. There's actually literally a theory that some kind of Native American magic somehow took care of the colonists and
disappeared
made them go away.
And then they miraculously forgot how to do this magic on the rest of the colonists that
Yes,
appeared?
well, they did.
You can't do it to a lot of people.
They
Okay.
use it all up on those bitches.
Some people think they turned the native holy men, turned them into demons. Also, I'm just going to throw that out there. I want to be fair.
All righty.
We got to look at every possibility.
Sure.
How about they're contacted by aliens and the aliens, friendly or otherwise, took them back to their home planet?
Probed.
Absolutely. A lot of problem went on that voyage back. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're taken someplace much further away than Chesapeake Bay. I'm going to go with Rigel 7.
Okay.
What?
So, I mean, I have to say it because there are legitimate people, not legitimate people is not the right phrase, but there are people who legitimately believe that the Roanoke colony was lost because of some kind of UFO abduction.
Really?
True. Yes.
I
And
mean,
that's the only explanation.
honestly, you name any
Yeah.
mystery, there's going to be some people
That's
who like
true.
to do it.
Yes,
aliens.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who's not where they should be, aliens may have abducted them. That's for sure.
Basically.
And
That's just
finally,
weird.
for weird ideas, there could be the whole American Horror Story scenario.
Yay.
Which
drag
I don't know
queens.
because I haven't seen it. So what was the idea?
I
Emily's
haven't
going to
seen
tell
it
us that.
either.
and She's not here. Did you see it, Emily?
See what?
American Horror Story. They had a
Roanoke.
season where Roanoke Island was.
I don't think anyone saw it.
I don't know what the
That
answer.
show is so bad. I rated so few things 1 star on IMDb. But the first episode of the hotel season, legitimately, I wished I could take that. I was mad at Ryan Murphy. He
Oh,
stole
yes.
moments of my. I had to watch.
Did
that
you?
sh-
You have to.
I was like,
Ah.
I try to give this like the first, like, okay, it's got new people. It had Lady Gaga. Like maybe he's got new people writing. That one season was good.
He's got new people rioting
Maybe.
I don't
in the
fucking
streets.
know.
Well, there was some. I don't know what season it was. There's
So
something about.
bad.
I think it was something
Sex
like an
maybe?
interdimensional rift or something
Yeah.
like that.
I
So
know
that
it
could
had
happen.
time travel-y like
Yeah.
aspects to
Ooh.
it. There was a drag queen. Somehow there was
Was there drag queen in that one, in that
drag
season?
queen who was featured in it, and I'm
Was
not
Lady
sure
Gaga
how
in
she
it?
plays
Probably
Leslie
played-
Jordan.
Leslie Jordan.
I know
Okay.
plays a part in it. I don't think Lady Gaga was in it.
She was in that show at some point, wasn't she?
Yeah,
In the-
in
a couple seasons, yeah.
In one of the first show or the first
Oh.
season that she was in, I
It wasn't
try
the
to
first
give it a
season.
shot.
I watched
No.
one episode of the first season. Go, this is pretty
Bad
lame.
season.
Carrie, are you
The
going to tell us
second
about
season
it?
is the only good one.
She's
I'm
not.
looking for it.
Okay.
Heaven's okay. It ends really, really terribly.
So
Starts
weirdly,
terribly too.
the colony mostly disappeared from the public consciousness for really centuries. It wasn't like a big thing. It was, remember, they investigated into the 1600s, the early 1600s, and then just like forgot about it. And it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't until 1837, a woman named Eliza Lansford Cushing wrote a historical romance novel called Virginia Dare, or The Lost Colony. And that kind of put Roanoke back into the public consciousness, not until, but a long, many, many years later. That'd be like 250 years later.
That's cool.
And that really kind of cemented it as being thought of again as a lost colony. And then it grew in stature and became semi-famous. And of course, in more modern times, it's become famous for its mystery and its kind of supernatural stuff. Yeah, or spooky stuff. Her story was fiction, but it did start this kind of trend toward Roanoke being considered a lost colony, and something weird may have happened there. Now, today, Roanoke Island is a major tourist attraction, and it has been since the late 1880s or so, and it still remains so to this day. But those lost colonists are not ever going to be found in all likelihood. Your shots in the dark, peoples. What do you think happened?
I mean, I already pretty much said it.
What? Which was what?
I think it's a bit of a combination of factors. I think
we have assimilation, slaughter, some of those conspiracy theories.
I don't know
and
the
we
exact
have,
combination, but
what's the other
probably
one?
a bit of the most likely one.
Died of like starvation, disease.
Yeah.
Bit of
Yeah.
starvation, bit of disease, bit of some people going off trying to
Yeah.
make
Oh,
it
escape.
in other
I
places.
think that happened.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's possible. Maybe a couple people said, "I'm going on this penis."
We're going on to penis.
I'm getting out of here on a spinnis.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Claire?
Yeah, any of those.
That's my
I'm not
cop-out.
sure about the
Yeah.
escape one.
You're not sure about that, really? I
I
kind of
don't
like
believe
that.
any of the conspiracy theory
No,
ones.
that's easy. I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
assimilation and escape are not quite equally attractive to me, but I think assimilation,
Equally likely.
yeah. And it could be, it could be all of them, right?
It honestly
Some
could.
could have taken the penis
Yes,
and gone
yeah.
and got lost
That's
at
what I
sea.
said.
Some could have assimilated.
That's my whole answer, Dean.
Well, I know, but I'm going to restate it and act like I just made it up.
That's your
That's
whole life.
what I do. And some could have, assimilated, and some could have been slaughtered.
Yeah. I think some people went out, probably died of starvation. Some people stayed, maybe got slaughtered. Maybe they're the ones that died
Wow,
died
I'm
of
glad I went
starvation.
first.
The
so
reason
everybody
I-
else could just say my answer.
Well, you know why I like
That's
that?
the most likely.
I like
you're
that
welcome.
because it makes sense in conjunction with the whole drought thing. Is that wherever they went,
Yeah.
they didn't go as a body of 100 people. They
Yeah.
may have went in 10
Right,
or
yeah.
8, 10, 12 groups.
Yeah. Like,
And so some were slaughtered, some lived on forever and had many kids who lived on. And again, maybe some also tried to escape into the ocean and did not make it. So,
Yikes.
yeah. And no, Jack, just because you went first doesn't mean no one else can take that answer.
It's my
That's not
original
fair.
thought. I
hate
have
that.
trademark, copyrighted it, patent and pending.
I hate that when at company things when you're
Yeah.
supposed to say 2 things you like about some bullshit like that. And if you go last, everything's taken. Say, okay, what person 3 and 7 said. I hate that shit. It's
Yeah.
bullshit.
I'm just glad I didn't have to live through that time period.
Hun-
Well,
100%.
Carrie, you would have been the master law cabin
Yeah.
builder. You'd have been
I
Well,
very
might have
valuable.
been. I think
Bravado.
I probably would have been fine. But
Oh, for sure.
you
I
have
have
no
no doubt.
time to build your log cabin because you got to churn butter and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
exhausting.
you just had your 17th child that's
Yes.
going to die.
Yes, Carrie. Yeah, well, 9 of the 17
Your
were almost certainly
8th
going
child
to
named
Exactly.
Paul.
So yeah, it's not. I'm
looking
glad we
good
live
for
in the
them.
time we live, but I wish we lived. I wish I lived 500 years from now because I hope it's going to be better. I think it's going to be better.
the future?
Yeah,
Are
we'll
you
have
kidding me?
They'll have figured out the global warming thing after we all die. and then they'll have made it better.
You
I'm
think
talking
there's
like
gonna
500
be-
years, 1,000 years, something
No,
like
The
I'm
only ones that are going to
glad.
be left are the rich assles who are in a space pod
It's
chilling
Mad
out.
Max.
No,
Mad
that's
Max
not good.
is in
And
the
then,
future.
yeah, we're going to
Well,
be Mad Maxing it
You
down
guys are
on here.
very
that.
pessimistic.
The time after Mad Max regime.
When we were children, they
It's
said
over.
you
How's that?
have like you've got
100
50 to 100
yeah.
years to figure this out, and now we're adults, and they said we can't
Yeah, it's
figure this
right
out.
now.
We're too far gone. It's already happened.
Well, you're
well,
fucked.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Basically,
and people didn't
will
believe
be
in global
dead.
warming.
that's why
when we were
nobody should have
children.
kids. Just kidding.
No, I'm not
Shit,
kidding.
Karen.
Don't have children. It's the worst thing you can do for the environment.
Wow.
Well,
There's
I'm
enough
not
children
having any
alive.
more
Adopt
kids.
them all, and then when we run out of kids, when we have a children of men situation, then you can start boinking. But straight people stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that
Yeah.
warning to humankind not to reproduce,
Yeah.
we will finalize the Roanoke Lost Colony mystery. And again, our answer was all of the above.
Yes.
Carrie,
I said it first.
any final? Yeah,
I have no final thoughts.
okay. Well, thank you for listening. Carrie, tell them where we can find us. You're not going to do that.
no, we
We're-
don't do
yeah.
that anymore.
All those
Sorry, my
places
bad.
because everybody's smart and they know how to find us.
That's true. That's a good point.
Don't
And-
underestimate our viewers.
We got
I-
the same name.
Also, if they're listening to us,
They can find us.
I don't know.
They
People
found
do that,
us.
so is a habit. I don't know. I'll stop. All right. Until
Thanks
next
for
time.
listening.
See you guys.
Have fun.
See ya.